The Supreme Court is the highest court in the United States, acting as the final referee in legal disputes. It interprets the Constitution and laws, making decisions that affect everyone. The court has 9 justices, chosen by the President and approved by the Senate, serving for life, to ensure independence from politics. When the Supreme Court rules, its decisions set precedents that all other courts must follow. These rulings can reshape how laws are enforced for years. The court can strike down laws that violate the Constitution, protecting citizens' rights. This is especially important for major issues like gun rights under the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court's decisions determine what firearms people can own and how the government can regulate them. A single case can impact millions of gun owners and law enforcement nationwide. That's why cases like the recent challenge to the National Firearms Act and short-barreled rifles draw intense attention. The outcome can redefine the relationship between citizens and their government on gun rights. Moments like these are truly historic for the country. The National Firearms Act, or NFA, was passed in 1934 to control firearms seen as especially dangerous. Instead of banning them, the NFA imposed taxes and strict registration on items like machine guns, short-barreled rifles, shotguns, and suppressors. Buying one meant extensive paperwork, fingerprints, photos, and ATF approval, a process that could take months. The $200 tax was a huge barrier at the time, often costing more than the firearm itself. The tax and registration aimed to make these weapons difficult and expensive to own legally. Over the decades, the tax stayed the same, but the NFA remained a major hurdle for gun owners. Owners had to join a federal registry, and the law became a symbol of strict government control. For nearly a century, the NFA has shaped federal gun law, creating a complex path for those wanting these items. Many gun rights supporters argue the NFA unfairly burdens law-abiding citizens. They say it complicates ownership for sport, collecting, or self-defense. The NFA has long been a flashpoint in the debate over gun rights. A short-barreled rifle, or SBR, is any rifle with a barrel shorter than 16 inches, making it more compact and easier to handle. Accessories like suppressors reduce gunshot noise, while stabilizing braces help shooters control pistols with one hand. Under the NFA, SBRs and suppressors face the same strict regulations as machine guns. Many gun owners argued that suppressors are safety devices and that barrel length doesn't make a firearm more dangerous. The ATF's recent rule classified pistols with stabilizing braces as SBRs, suddenly making millions of legal firearms subject to NFA rules. Owners had to register, remove the brace, or risk criminal charges. This move angered many gun owners, who saw it as government overreach. The controversy over braces set the stage for major legal battles. The debate centered on whether these regulations were fair or constitutional. The debate over these rules was sharply divided. Supporters argued that short-barreled rifles are easier to conceal and pose a greater threat to public safety, justifying strict regulation. They believed stabilizing braces turned pistols into more dangerous weapons, closing a loophole in the law. On the other side, gun owners and advocacy groups argued that SBRs are similar to regular rifles and used for sport or defense. They said the rules unfairly targeted law-abiding citizens, and the braces helped disabled shooters. Many saw the ATF's rule as government overreach, changing laws without Congress. For them, this was about protecting Second Amendment rights from arbitrary regulations. Legal challenges erupted as soon as the ATF's brace rule was announced. Gun owners and rights groups sued, arguing the ATF lacked authority to redefine rifles and that the rule was confusing. Some federal courts sided with gun owners, halting the rule and questioning the ATF's process. Meanwhile, Congress repealed the $200 NFA tax in 2025, prompting a new lawsuit claiming the NFA's legal foundation was gone. Gun rights groups argued that without the tax, the government couldn't require registration of NFA items. These lawsuits created a storm of legal questions about federal gun laws. With lower courts divided, both sides appealed to the Supreme Court for a final answer. The nation watched as the justices agreed to hear the case. The outcome would determine the future of federal gun regulations. The stage was set for a historic Supreme Court decision. The Supreme Court delivered a landmark ruling, blocking nationwide restrictions on short-barreled rifles and stabilizing braces. The justices agreed the ATF overstepped its authority by reclassifying pistols with braces without clear direction from Congress. This decision was a major check on federal agencies' power. The court went further, ruling that the NFA's registration requirements were unconstitutional after Congress repealed the tax. The law's original justification was gone, so the government could no longer require registration under the NFA. The ruling immediately removed SBRs and suppressors from the NFA's special list. Gun owners no longer needed to submit paperwork, fingerprints, or wait months for approval. This was one of the most significant expansions of gun rights in modern history. The decision set a new precedent, limiting agency power and confirming that laws must have a constitutional basis. While not ending all gun regulations, it dismantled a century-old federal system. The Supreme Court sent a clear message: the right to keep and bear arms must be respected. After the Supreme Court's decision, short-barreled rifles, shotguns, and suppressors are no longer NFA items. They can now be bought and sold like standard rifles, without long waits or complex registration. Gun stores and manufacturers are expected to offer more options, making these items more accessible. However, buyers must still pass standard background checks, and state laws may still restrict these firearms. This creates a patchwork of rules across the country. The decision will likely inspire more legal challenges to other gun laws. For now, gun owners have more freedom, and the end of the NFA marks a new era in American gun rights. The long-term effects will unfold, but the Supreme Court's ruling has opened a new chapter for gun ownership in America.